Hi, today I want to talk to you about satire and an introduction to what it is. Many of us realize how to write a persuasive or an argumentative essay and to prove our point of view and to show flaws in the opposing side. However, using satire is another way to persuade, and it's possibly even more effective. When you use satire, you're using humor to persuade. Beyond arguing, there are other ways to write persuasively. For example, the satire. A manner of writing that mixes a critical attitude with wit and humor in an effort to improve mankind and human institutions. Oftentimes, writers, specifically looking at Mark Twain, who is possibly the most famous of satirists, oftentimes they can see flaws and problems in society. And stating what they are is one thing, but using a satire to portray it really grasps the attention of society and shows those flaws. And that's what Twain did, and that's what he's famous for. A satire is going to be a literary work that ridicules its subjects through the use of techniques such as exaggeration, reversal, incongruity, and or parody in order to make a comment or criticism about it. The necessary ingredients for it. One, humor. Satire is always funny. Two, criticism. You have to have some flaw that you see. You have to criticize something, either a general criticism of humanity or human nature or specific criticism of an individual or group. You also need a moral voice. It's not just mocking fun at something. You actually care about it and you want to make it right. When you create a satire, it's ironic and sarcastic. Irony is when the opposite of what's supposed to happen happens. For example, a firehouse burns down. A teacher fails a test that she created. A police officer is arrested. Those are all irony. Teachers are there to teach, not fail. Police officers are there to protect and do the right thing, not get arrested. And a fire station is there to save people from fire, not to burn down. It also is either good natured criticism or bitterly cynical. It always opposed to pretense, affection, and hypocrisy. So it's always going to be against it. And more than a little bit prone to references to things society finds to be off, pointing out our flaws as well. These are some examples of satire in pop culture. I'll discuss a few. The movie Scary Movie. Well, the subject of the satire is horror movies, and it exaggerates the techniques used by horror movies to scare their audiences, and it pokes fun at them through its own movie. If you look at political cartoons, the policy decisions and personality traits of elected officials often have flaws. Political cartoons find those and expose them in a humorous way. Shows like The Daily Show or Saturday Night Live, um, they identify human flaws and vices related to politics, entertainment, or current events, and they make you laugh over them. They are showing you the flaws in a humorous way. These are all satires in our pop culture right now. Vocabulary you need to understand: overstatement and understatement. An overstatement is going to be an exaggeration, making something seem much more important than it really is. So you think you have this huge problem, but in the view of the entire world, it's actually quite minor. An understatement would be the opposite of exaggeration. It's a statement that expresses a fact too weakly or has less empathy than it should towards it. Looking at irony again, you need to understand that irony is the expression of one's meaning by using language that normally signifies the opposite. It's typically there for a humorous or empathetic effect. Verbal irony is when a writer says one thing but means another. And dramatic irony is when the reader or audience knows something that the character does not. We see that in a lot of plays. Okay, so the four techniques. The exaggeration is like a hyperbole. If you think of learning hyperboles in literature or poetry, same thing. It's going to enlarge, increase, or represent something beyond normal bounds so that it becomes ridiculous and faults can be seen. Um, I just read a million pages of a book. Okay, so you read a lot, but you didn't read a million. That's an exaggeration. Incongruity, to present things that are out of place or as absurd in relation to its surroundings. Reversal, to present the opposite of the normal order. So we change the order of events. We eat dessert before dinner. And then a parody. This is to imitate the technique or style of a person, place, or thing. And we kind of put it back out there in a different way. Now, Twain is going to be the most famous American satirist. He is known primarily as a humorist, famous for such quips as, "It is better to keep your mouth shut and let people think you are a fool than to open it and remove all doubt." So he's kind of like quick witted and had these sayings that really were humorous and attracted to people. Today, we have a prestigious prize for American humor, which has been given to performers such as George Carlin and Tina Fey, and it's called the Mark Twain Prize. It's named after him because he's one of the original humorists and one of the best at it. He primarily used a form of humor known as satire, the use of humorous exaggeration and irony to expose people's feelings and stupidity. In his books, stories, and essays, Twain took aim at what he saw as the stupidity and hypocrisy around him, ridiculing close minded small towns, religious hypocrisies, and dishonest politicians, as well as attacking practices such as slavery and imperialism. So when Twain saw something wrong in society, he exaggerated it and he made it extreme because he wanted people to get that shock value for their attention was drawn to it. Morally, he was doing it because he felt that by bringing attention to the problems, that would be the first step in resolving them. He could see things that people around him did not see, and he was able to pick out their flaws. And he wanted people to change for the better. And that was ultimately his goal. Hopefully, that helps you understand satire and irony a little bit